It is time to face up to what's probably going to be some very harsh realities, and that is to discover how unfit I actually am. You see, the last couple of years I've dedicated myself to growing the map deck business, and I've worked super hard, and I've definitely neglected my own fitness. That's definitely true of the last 6 months especially, which have just been so full on. I've just seen my fitness disappear off a cliff. But today I am going to start putting that right. Things are starting to fall into place like you've seen in the videos before, and now marks an opportunity to start getting on top of my own health and well-being. So today I'm going to talk through how I would coach someone in my position if you were a member of our gym down here. And the very first thing that we do is get the big picture of where our fitness actually is. Now there are about 11 key components of fitness, and it's got to be a holistic thing. It's not just about an FTP score or whatever. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to try and go through as many of those as possible, and we're going to start off with cardiovascular fitness, and we're going to measure that with the VO2 master, and I'm going to get next door in a second and run through a VO2 test. Now this is going to give me the absolute gold standard of fitness tests. One, this is going to tell me where my ventilation thresholds are, number 1 and number 2, and my VO2 max, which is the most important metric. And as we head into midlife like I am, VO2 max becomes ever more important. This also is going to give me my metabolic zones as well. I'm going to take that information and then put it into a Moxie 515 test, and this is going to break down what is limiting my VO2 becoming better, and then I've got something that I can train that cardiovascular fitness from. Next up is muscular strength. Now I do train in the gym quite regularly, so I'm pretty okay with where things are at with that, but I will show you roughly what we're going to do in there and show you the steps that we take to assess a cyclist's muscular strength, because everything we do today is relevant to a cyclist, which leads me on to the next couple of elements, which is muscular endurance and power. Now we sort of bundle these together as a cyclist because muscular endurance is all about repetitive exercise, which we do because we are pedaling a bike, and we can measure that with our power. So this is going to be an FTP score, which I'm going to extrapolate from the VO2 test. We're going to confirm that is accurate with the SMO2 test, and then we're going to keep monitoring that on a regular basis just by riding with a power meter. So that's probably not going to feature in this video too much. Then we're going to look at my flexibility and mobility with some help from Vic from Sports Recovery Kendall. She's going to take me through an entire biomechanics assessment, and I think this is actually going to be a pretty poor result, to be honest. I think I'm okay, but I think this is going to highlight some stuff that I'm going to have to face up to. And the same is true of body composition. That is my weight, my BMI, fat, water, muscle, etc. And this is probably going to be a big wake-up call. There are lots of ways you can measure body composition, including having really complicated DEXA scans or standing on those fancy machines, which we don't have here. We do have a set of smart scales, which I'm just going to use because they might not be the most accurate, but they are consistently inaccurate. So what matters to me is that the data is moving, not necessarily what the actual data is. I'll talk you through that when we get to it. And then we have the skill-based elements of our fitness, which are especially important as we head into our later years. Things like agility, proprioception, balance, reaction time, coordination, and speed, which I'm definitely going to assess and work on, but I'm going to do that in another video because this one is all about the physical elements of fitness. So let's get started. Okay, VO2 test done, and while I sort of cool down and have a drink, etc., let's go through the results before we start the next stage. Now, I knew it was going to be bad, but this is appalling. I'm actually a little bit embarrassed by it, but I guess part of testing is to face up to harsh truths. And the point of this video is for anyone in a similar position is to use testing as a way to really fully understand what's going on and take action on it. So here we go, walks and all, this is my results. So first of all, maximum heart rate, that's a plus, still at 189, so that's fairly positive, and my resting was still around 66, so the heart rate range is okay. Tidal volume, which is the size of my lung capacity, 3.6 litres, so again that's all okay. My respiratory frequency, 40 breaths per minute, so I've got quite a disciplined breathing, and ventilation, 141 litres per minute. So, you know, that's fairly good. My lactate threshold, for want of a better word, on my VT2, came out at 230 watts. Now, I was expecting it to go down from what I thought it was, which is the last time I sort of tested using Xcert and a power meter outside on Kirkstone Pass was about 252. So in the 6 months that I probably did that last time, to lose 20 watts is understandable, frustrating, but I think that'll come back fairly quickly. The big thing that's really, really disappointing is my VO2 max was just 26.2, which is appalling. In fact, it was so bad I had to just recheck all the calibrations, and I did a VO2 max with someone else as well and just checked all the machines, and yep, it is 26.2, which is appalling. I was expecting that to be at least in the 40s. Quite embarrassed by it, to be fair. So the next part of this video is going to be the Moxie 515 test, which is going to tell me which specific elements of my VO2 in terms of cardiac, pulmonary or muscular oxidative capacity is limiting that VO2. Now, looking at my stats, I think this has got to do with gaseous transfer. So this is, as I breathe in, the oxygen molecules actually have to transfer into my blood and be carried around my system into my muscles. So the reason that I have that suspicion is because I look at my VO2, and once I passed VT2, as in the test gets quite hard, my VO2 max doesn't really climb much. It almost flatlines, which is pretty symptomatic of an untrained athlete, which I guess I have to come to terms with. That's what I am now. So time for the Moxie test. No mask this time. We're just going to be using 2 of these. I've got one on my right quad, and Vic's about to stick this one to my tricep. And the reason that we're doing this is because we need a monitor on the working muscle, i.e. my legs, hopefully, and we need a monitor on my non-working muscle. And that just gives us an insight as to how my body is prioritizing blood flow as the exercise gets harder. So this test is 5 minutes exercise, 1 minute's rest, 5 minutes exercise, and then get increasingly harder. We do that about 4 times, a couple under my FTP, which we now know, 1 around my FTP and something over my FTP as well, so we get to see sort of the full picture. So here we go. While I'm here suffering, I should be saying, if you like this sort of content, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe, tell your friends. I'm hoping to turn this into a channel of really eclectic cycling content, useful to all types of people. And the only way I can do that is if people follow, put their comments down below, tell me what you like, don't like, what you want to see more of. There's an awful lot of knowledge amongst the staff in this building, and we just want to share it. Before we get started with biomechanics, a quick chat about strength training. I'm not going to show it in this video because I've put it on the channel before, and also I train in here a lot and I'm fairly okay with where I am with my strength training. In fact, we have this little chart here in the gym which are benchmarks that we kind of encourage people to try and achieve by the summertime, and we have different categories. These are based on some standards that we've taken from books, Trainer Road, etc., and from our own experiences. Level 1, which we consider a climber, sort of the very bare minimum standard, if you like, of strength, ability for a cyclist. And we have the all-rounder for anyone that's like a mountain biker, does gravel riding, does lots of different types of cycling. And then we have a beast mode for people that are really competing hard and really dedicate themselves to it. And we expect these to go down during the summer, and then you build them back up again during the winter of strength training. I'm definitely in this all-rounder category without a shadow of a doubt, just to give you an idea what that is. So a deadlift, 5 reps at 100% of body weight. Now we use 5 rep max as opposed to 1 rep max, which means that you do 5 lifts. The reason we do that is because for us cyclists, runners, endurance athletes, what we're most interested in is strength, pure force production, and that comes from the rep range of about 3 lifts to 6 lifts to what we call reps. Once you go beyond that, you're into sort of like hypertrophy, in fact making your muscles bigger and bulkier, which is definitely not what we want. And below that is more about powerlifting and training for a specific sport. So we use the 5 rep, 5 lifts max as a benchmark. Anyway, deadlift, 5 reps of 100% body weight. I know that my deadlift is around 110 kilograms at the moment, so that's okay. Back squat, 5 reps at 75% of body weight. My current back squat is around 90 kilograms. Bench press, again, my current bench press is around 70 kilograms. and barbell row. Actually, I haven't tested this for a while, but it only needs to be 55% of body weight, and I'm pretty sure that I can do at least 60 kilograms. So in terms of am I strong enough? Yes, I don't think this is going to be a massive concern, but I have noticed that as I've been doing this strength training, that my mobility has been getting more and more limited. So I'm about to face an ugly truth with that as well, I think.
Excellent, so we're going to do a full biomechanics assessment. So could you please take off your shoes and your socks for me? Start lying face up, so lying on your back on the couch, head that end, feet this end. Lovely stuff. Okay, I'd like you to bend your knees, feet flat on the couch, head resting down. Let your leg be heavy, just let me lift it up. First onset of tension, tingling or tightness.
There, that's base of glute.
Bottom of your glute. When I ask you to is lift one knee up high as you can and place it back down on the floor, and then the same on the other side. Okay? Then bring your arms back behind you as far as you can. Good. Lovely. Well done. Really nice and relaxed. Forward on the diagonal. Pause. 2 and back. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, you were right. That's it. Now back on the diagonal. Good. And to the original. Really good. Well done. Lovely.
That was quite a lot of fun. Definitely felt like my old ankle injury was a highlight of that test. But
for you?
Yeah. It's like, so what did we learn?
Okay, so the biomechanics test shows us all the 42 tests that you've just done, and it gives us a score, which is fantastic. So anything highlighted in pink is where you've tested what we call positive. So it means that it's shown something that we need to work on. All right, which is quite...
Okay, so positive is the thing that's bad.
Yeah, the thing that we need to work on, the thing that might be uneven or the thing that might be tight.
Okay, there's quite a lot of pink on there.
There's quite a lot of pink on there, and that's not unusual, to be honest. Mine doesn't look dissimilar. And the other thing to bear in mind is if we do this again, it'd be a good time to do it at the same time of day with you at a similar sort of level of fatigue. So I know you've been quite active for the past week, so it might change if we had a rest week and did it. It will definitely change if you do the exercises that I'm going to prescribe you.
Yeah, we've done a lot of mountain biking and stuff over the Christmas period, so there's definitely a few tight muscles around. Okay.
And we also know with you've had your ankle surgery, and you had that about 10 years ago?
Yeah, probably more, 8 or 9, I guess.
8 or 9, so quite a long time ago. Yeah. Okay. And we also know that you're slightly kyphotic, so we also know that you are slightly rounded at the shoulders. Like that's just a thing that we know. Yeah, okay. And that's shown up on here. You can see you've got quite a lot of pink.
Sit up straight now.
No, don't worry, we're going to give you some exercises to sort that out. But the first thing that's quite interesting here that we're going to talk about. So overall, I would say for a 44-year-old male of pretty good fitness and health in general, this is not an unusual result to have all this pink, okay? That's absolutely really quite normal, okay? And the good thing is that there's loads of stuff we can do to work on it.
In terms of biomechanic health and fitness, what have I just learned?
You've learned where you need to improve in order to achieve a bit more on the bike. You've also probably learned or confirmed things that you might have already known about yourself. But the good thing about this is we've got a methodical system to test you, and we can give you exercises to fix this. We would probably also recommend some soft tissue release, probably around your upper body, to help with that. But most of all, it's mostly giving you the knowledge to go away and do the things that you need to do to allow you to sit better on the bike, to be more comfortable, to get those hips a little bit more flexible, which will have an effect up and down the chain of your movement to allow you to get fitter, get stronger, get faster. So
hip, shoulder, trunk rotation.
Yeah.
3 things.
3 things, absolutely. And it's a very common 3 things. We'll start with the hips. We'll get those sorted. We'll get you pedaling faster. That will probably free things up further up the chain, but we can then get more specific and into your shoulders and your thoracic.
Awesome. Thanks for that. Okay, it has been a few days since my last test. I've taken some time to reflect, think things through, come up with a plan, feel positive about it again. And here we are. So the muscle oxygen test that you saw me do yielded some results. It looks like this. It's like a dashboard of limitations. Came up with a pulmonary and a muscle oxidative capacity limitation. Pulmonary is an interesting one that has an awful lot to do with general health. And I have a strong suspicion that will improve as I start to lose weight. If it doesn't, then I'm going to possibly look at getting a blood test done and look at some of my nutrition strategies, because that has a lot more to do with the gas transfer, from taking oxygen into the hemoglobin, carbon dioxide out again, which is a lot more of a chemical imbalance. And I think that will definitely improve as I lose weight, start to do a bit of a training. The other limitation is muscle oxidative capacity, not strength. Everyone confuses it with strength. It's not. It is the density and efficiency of the mitochondria in my muscle cells to produce ATP, the little molecule of energy that makes a muscle twitch, by combining fuel and oxygen, essentially. The more efficient they are, the more you have of them, obviously, the more energy you can create. And the nice thing is that this is very, very trainable, and I suspect to see a pretty good improvement in that fairly quickly. So what am I going to do? So the mission is, number one, absolutely, is lose at least 3 kilograms as quickly as possible, even at a fairly sustainable and safe 0.5 kilogram per week. 6 weeks, end of Feb, I should be back at a healthy BMI again. And that will make me feel a whole lot better about myself. And I think I should definitely see an improvement in the pulmonary response and my VO2 quite quickly. So that's first mission. I also want to do some training. I've got some more time now and I want to do some training, but what I don't want to do is spike my appetite. I don't want to compromise my ability to lose weight and have a massive appetite. So I've had to really think hard about how I've got myself into this pickle in the first place and try and remove some of those temptations. We've had some really long and frank discussions between me and Vic, because one of the things that I think we've done is fallen into the trap of eating too much too late at night, because our workload here, building the business, has gradually increased and we've worked later and later. But one of the things we both enjoy as a couple is cooking. We both enjoy cooking, and we both enjoy cooking for somebody else. And what we found happening without us really noticing was we would finish here, we'd walk home, which takes about 40 minutes. It's something that we both enjoy, just debriefing ourselves, if you like, and then getting home and cooking. And sometimes we'd be going, hang on, it's like 9:30, 10:30 at night. What are we doing sitting down to a nice meal? But you've kind of cooked it. It's a nice gesture. You feel obliged. And I think that's one of the biggest traps that we've fallen into, actually. We haven't been thinking about fueling ourselves throughout the day effectively and been concentrating too much on that evening meal. It's like, I'll get some chicken out of the freezer for dinner tonight. I'm like, we don't actually need dinner tonight when we really think about it. So it's taken some very frank discussions. And I think we've got a strategy where we always walk to work, and that needs fuel. So a good breakfast is important to us. We also work hard throughout the day, so we need a lunch. And then we think about having fuel for doing our work in the evenings with clients and stuff in the gym, and do our own training, because we often train with our clients here as well. So that is the mission. Really, really temper that. Second thing is how I am going to train on the turbo trainers. First of all, I do not have the time realistically for doing long hours at zone 2. That is just not going to happen. I'm going to ride my bike with my friends, with Vic, and I'm going to enjoy being outside, riding my bike at whatever speed and tempo that happens to be, not taking that away. Sometimes it'll be fast, sometimes it'll be easy. It is what it is. That is fun. So what I'm going to do in here is train, and I'm going to train particularly to hit VO2 max. So what does that look like? That looks like long, easy warm-up. So I really want to get my metabolism fired up, that breathing rate up, the heart rate up, nice, steady. And then I'm going to hit some very short, intense intervals. The mission in these is to try and achieve my max heart rate or my max respiratory rate as quickly as I possibly can, and then a nice cool down. Remember, we always think about load, stress, and strain. And what I'm trying to do is to put a bit of load on through the warm-up, slightly stress my VO2 system, but I don't want to put it under any strain. What I don't want to do is do anything like sweet spot or anything that's going to really deplete my blood sugar levels and really stoke up a voracious appetite. That's what I'm really, really trying to avoid. That leads me on to my other points. What I really want to do is just maintain my strength. I'm not looking to build strength at all. I'm really happy with how strong I am right now. That can stay as it is. I am going to be paying more attention to my hip mobility and especially my shoulder mobility. I really feel that that's something that I can improve on. And there we go. I think I'm probably going to retest in about 8 weeks, see where things are at. I will slow down my rate of losing weight down to about 1/3 of a kilogram per week, so I'm a lot healthier. I've got an end goal in mind. I might share it with you, I don't know yet, of a certain weight and a certain VO2 max that I'd like to achieve by the 8th of June when we line up to do the Frontier 300 up in Scotland. And I have to be realistic. I have never been gifted with a high VO2. I am never going to be Greg LeMond, no matter how hard I try. I've only ever been above average at best. But I can get back to being above average for my age group, and that is my goal. My VO2 max is super important to me, and I want to get that back to being above average. It's not much to boast about, but it's what I have to boast about. So as good as I can be with the genetics that I have, and that is important. And finally, I have made this video to hopefully be helpful to anyone who might be in a similar situation, who can get themselves tested, reflect on the outcome, and start to make some positive change. I haven't put this out there to be trolled and ridiculed. If that's your mission, go away, go somewhere else. Normal situation will resume. We'll be back in the workshop pretty soon. Hopefully you found this useful, and if you didn't, just move on. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and put down anything useful in the comments. I am always listening. Okay, thanks for listening, everybody. Take it easy.